Before you zip up that suitcase, let's talk about the top banned items that could get you into some serious trouble with that cruise line. You don't want to find out the hard way you brought things you should. Firearms and ammunition. Seriously, you don't bring guns on a ship, or anything gun-shaped for that matter. Explosives, fireworks, no go. Don't even think about doing it. They'll boot you right back to the dock as quick as they can. Knives and scissors are prohibited, except for safety razors and scissors with blades that are under 4 inches. This one was kind of tough for me to get used to because I carry a pocket knife all the time. I've been in the habit of that forever and a day. One of my wife's tasks before we get on the ship is to ask me if I remember to take the knife out of my pocket, because I've left more than one blade at the port. Illegal drugs and substances. Cruise lines follow federal law when it comes to illegal drugs and substances. Well, in most ways, but specifically this. So federal law currently states, at the time of this recording, say hi to Ilya, that marijuana and CBD products are illegal. They don't care what the state law is. They don't care if the state law in the state that they're departing from allows it. They follow federal law. So don't bring marijuana, don't bring your sleep gummies if they have CBD or THC in them, leave them home. Because if they find them, they will ban you from the cruise line for life. Not just kick you off that ship, but ban you for life. Don't do it. Fire making tools, candles, incense, butane torches, don't bring them. The thing that the captain of the ship is probably most afraid of is fire on board. You got a fire on a ship, there's nowhere to go. So they prohibit things that create fire. Really, Ilya? Don't bring candles, don't bring incense, don't bring anything like that. Butane lighters, I know, guys who like cigars, they like their butane torches. Don't bring them, they're prohibited. Bring matches, bring a normal Bic lighter. That's about it. That's about all they'll allow you to bring when it comes to fire making tool. Along the same lines, heat producing appliances, for the same reason. They create heat, they can create fire. So personal coffee makers, clothes irons, travel steamers, heating pads, hot plates, all of that's a no-no. Anything that creates heat, they don't want it on the ship because they can't regulate it. They can't be sure that it's not going to cause a fire. Heating pads, check with the cruise line because each cruise line has certain exceptions when it comes to heating pads. So check with them. And yes, I know several of you in your mind or actually in the comments are saying, but I brought my heating pad last time and I got an iron on board this time. And I'm just telling you what the general prohibited items are. If you want to try and sneak them on board, I don't advise it, but I can't stop you. Obviously, because I'm not there. Next up, martial arts and self-defense gear are prohibited. So think nunchucks, think the batons. If you're a martial artist or you're into self-defense, you'll understand the array of items I'm talking about. This does include handcuffs and pepper spray, and even pepper spray derivatives. I think there's a percentage involved, but yeah, no, none of those are involved. Even the pink furry handcuffs that some people like, don't bring them. Hoverboards are also banned. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's a reason. So if you were surprised, like I was, that you can't bring a hoverboard or your favorite pair of pink furry handcuffs, wait until you hear number 10 on this list. It's a doozy. Hookahs and water pipes, banned. Don't bring them. Not allowed. Ham radios, not permitted. They interfere with ship's communications. They're not going to let you bring that on board. Alcohol, in general, beer, hard seltzer, wine coolers, hard liquor, not allowed. Okay. Most cruise lines allow a bottle or two of wine per room. Sometimes it's a bottle per person. Sometimes it's a bottle for the room. Check with the cruise line. In general, they'll allow you to bring a 750 milliliter bottle of wine. It's got to be sealed. It can't be, open. You can't be drinking from it as you walk on board the ship. It's got to have a label. There are certain, rules to it. They don't want white bottles of an interesting liquid with no labels and a screw top coming on. Port, sherry, vermouth, fortified wines like that, that's a no-go. They only want, for lack of a better word, reds and whites, that kind of wine. This one is hit or miss when it comes to enforcement, but large electronics and speakers, boom boxes, those large pill-shaped Bluetooth speakers. Whether this rule is always enforced or not, that's another story, but in general, they are prohibited. If you do get it on board, please be respectful. Not everybody on the pool deck wants to listen to your type of music. Some people prefer no music at all, and they just want to listen to the waves and the kids having fun. Some people want to listen to country. Some people want to listen to classic rock, whatever. If you want to listen, use that speaker on the pool deck or in any public area. Keep the volume kind of low, so enough so that you hear it and your neighbor or your significant other hears it, but not somebody 150 yards at the other end of the pool deck has to listen to it. Or use headphones or earpods, common courtesy to me, which we all know is not as common as it used to be. But this one was very interesting. Didn't even think about it, but obviously other people have. Inflatable items are prohibited. Kiddie pools, surfboards, pool floats, pool boats, canoes. Yeah, not allowed. They don't want you, bringing your big pink flamingo pool float and taking up half the pool with it. So yeah, just leave those at home. Or if, say, you're going to Half Moon Cay and you want to bring a pool float with you, I honestly don't think it'll be an issue if you bring it on board deflated, still maybe in its shrink rack, take it to the island, blow it up on the island, use it on the island, then before you come back on the ship, let all the air out of it, collapse it back down. Some things like that you might be able to do. Now this last item, again, it surprised me, not because of it's prohibited, but because of the inconsistency of enforcement. It's probably a good way to put it. Pets. In general, pets are prohibited from cruising. Okay. Service animals are the one exception across all cruise lines. Basically, it's a federal law, I believe, but they have to be qualified, trained service dogs. I believe, they have to wear the jacket. They're a service dog and they're working, don't pet, that kind of thing. Bringing little Fifi or Fufu on board because you can't bear to think of leaving her at home, that doesn't really fit the service dog criteria, but it's enforced sporadically, just like in everything else. Pretty much every major big box store in the country has signs saying, no animals allowed except service dogs. And we all know people bring little Fifi and Fufu in with them just because, they don't care about rules. It's more important to have little Fifi with them when they're buying their TV or washer and dryer. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that tangent. There are some exceptions to this. Carnival. Really, Ilio? There are some exceptions to this. Carnival allows certain pets, certain sizes on board, but they are to be held by security while you're at sea. Once you hit port, you can meet them wherever they tell you, and they'll let you have your animal back for the day you're in port. You come back on, that animal goes right back to security, and you don't see it again till the next port day or until you get home. And yes, I do know that Icon of the Seas has a mascot, but Royal Caribbean makes Royal Caribbean's rules, so what am I going to say? Now that you know what not to pack, it's time to fill that suitcase with the must-haves. So here's a list of 11 things that you should never, ever sail without.